Wednesday. Tom Dorado will be joining shortly as well. He is now a famous celebrity after the Eddie film, so he's on the phone all the time. Jason and I are pretty proud to be working with a celebrity of his caliber. And
then our boss is going to be a big time celebrity after tonight.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. Is we're going to have everybody but you and I on ESPN, and so we're going to have two celebrities with Jordan being on the Big Country film tonight, which airs at 7 p.m. on ESPN. So make sure you have your DVR set once again, because this is an Oklahoma State themed week, an Orange takeover on ESPN indeed. So be sure to check that out. We'll get Tom here in a minute, as we're actually trying to get a hold of some of the Texas Collegiate League players and everything like that after they played last night, got their first victory in the inaugural game for the Texas Collegiate League Tulsa Drillers team. Yes, believe it or not, we have a score to report. I cannot believe it. Never thought I'd see the day again, but here we are. As baseball took place yesterday, and they got a victory. The Tulsa Drillers TCL team winning 3-2. And from what I was reading and was told, it was a pretty solid outing to start off. And Bryce Osmond, OSU pitcher, went 3 innings, scoreless and hitless innings, and had 6 strikeouts. So 6 of the 9 outs he recorded were via K, and that's pretty impressive, especially for a guy that probably hasn't faced a ton of live pitching recently. And then on top of that, you get Houston Morrill coming out going 1 for 3 at the plate, grabbed a hit. There were 7 hits total on that in that ball game. And also, this is kind of impressive too, Jason. Over 1,800 fans at this game. So they were able to draw a crowd.
Nice. Yeah, I know people were asking, I think it was suggested face masks for the fans, but all the personnel and whatnot, non-players, I believe, were wearing masks. But I also wanted to chime in because it just dawned on me, wanted to double check, because we last we talked, we hadn't found a start time, but talking about finally getting winners and losers in sports and it being an Orange Week. The Stillwater Stars game for the basketball tournament officially has a start time 4:00 on the 4th.
Okay.
So 4:00 locally on Saturday to watch some of the former Oklahoma State Cowboys hopefully get a win. Hopefully just an all-around great week for Oklahoma State basketball. Yeah,
Brendan Manzer will get his squad out there, and I think that's going to be really entertaining. You know, there's a lot of familiar names to a lot of people out there, and they really could be, one of the dark horses in this whole tournament that could make a run. So it'll be fun to watch. If you need some basketball, if you need some more Oklahoma State, you've got plenty of it this weekend. That will also, as you said, be on ESPN, 4:00 on the 4th.
Yeah, and if they do win, they've already have a start time for the second round, essentially. Their opponent, if they were to win on Saturday, they'd face the Eberlein Drive, and that would be at 6:00 Monday evening.
Okay, so
yeah, and it looks like both of those, ESPN.
Both on ESPN, all right.
Yeah.
So there you go. You have both dates there. If Oklahoma State, I call them Oklahoma State, but the Stillwater Stars do get that victory, they'll move on. A single elimination tournament, the prize money sitting this year at $1 million for the winner, instead of the original $2 million. But you know what? This is a good thing too, because we didn't know a few weeks ago if they were going to be able to pull this off. But they had said from the beginning that the tournament was going to go on as planned. Yep. It's a little different this time in one location, but looks like it's going to happen.
Well, and I think it was Cowboy Basketball tweeted out yesterday that Thomas Zagwa has already arrived in Ohio for this. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. And the funny thing is, we have to, you mentioned it's called the Stillwater Stars. We have to keep that in mind, because while it's considered the Oklahoma State alumni, there are 2 KU former basketball players on that squad as well. So it's kind of more of like a Big 12 kind of hybrid alumni team going up there with the Stillwater Stars.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Thomas DeZagua being able to find his way there, because I'm going to play the message that he put out to fans the other day after he arrived. This is what he had to say.
Fans We're proud to represent you guys. We promise we'll play as hard as we can and represent Stillwater Stars to the fullest.
There you go. Short and simple. We're going to represent the Stillwater Stars in Oklahoma State to the fullest. It's going to be fun to watch. It really is. Basketball is back. Baseball is back in a form here. Also, today is important with baseball because Major League players are reporting to home facilities. So we are getting closer and closer to hopefully a form of Major League Baseball this year. We'll get into that a little bit later as well because there is some new developments in terms of we'll just say this, not actual fans, but some sort of a type of fan is going to be in some of the stands around, including, I believe, I read Kansas City's kind of doing this as well. We'll talk about that later on as Tom joins us now. Tom, that's just like I told Jason there to start off, we actually had a score to report today. How long has it been?
That's good. That's good.
Been forever.
And don't you know those kids were happy to get out on the field?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure as Tom Holliday, I don't know how many season openers he's had as a youngster and an adult, as a player and a coach, but a ton of them. But this probably had to be the strangest season opener that he ever went through, I would think, because of the mask situation. There's some in the stands, but all the safety precautions have been taken. But I got to feel like once the ball was thrown, it was baseball, and they got after it.
Yeah, and 1,800 fans. For the season opener, not too bad. I mean, people going out want to see live baseball, and socially distanced, of course, as required. I'm actually planning on being there tomorrow night. I'm going to drive through, heading back home for the weekend, and going to stop in Tulsa and catch the game. They do play tonight as well.
That is correct. Yeah.
All first pitches at 7:05. And then that's the good part, too, is that it's not going to be, 100 degrees, but it will be pretty warm still. But there you get the evening starts. And, again, just to report, they did win that first inaugural game 3-2.
And Osmond kind of picked up where you left off when the season ended here. He had a heck of an outing against BYU, I think. And then he went in there, struck out 6 out of 9, went
6 out of 9, yeah.
3 innings, didn't give up a hit.
In the TCL, you don't have to go 5 innings to be qualified for a win, so he did get the victory as well. So he's technically 1-0.
Well, good for him. And again, he did it in front of pretty much hometown fans, being from Jenks. Talked to Tom Holliday earlier today, and said he had electric stuff, which we knew when he was here. And he was just coming on. I mean, it would have been interesting. One of the many storylines, the what-if storylines, had baseball not had the season taken away on a college level. He was just showing what he could do. And, of course, we had Osmond was certainly one of the guys that we were going to count on. He and Parker, Scott being in the 1 and 2 hole probably. Then a little bit of a scramble perhaps for that third hole. But at the same time, he was shown he belonged, no question, on this level. So, good for him. Good start for the team. And, it's probably good they got into a close game. Kind of get everybody's juices going right there. Yeah,
no doubt. Got to feel everything out a little bit, get back in the baseball swing of things. And this kind of coincides a little bit. It's unfortunate news, but it's not surprising as the minor leagues have officially canceled their season in baseball. That's tough for a lot of guys. And then the thing is, too, that when you look at the numbers, you understand why. I mean, we're talking, Jason, 85 to 90% of revenue comes straight from the gates, from fans. You get some advertising thrown in there as well, but it's not like these teams have these big TV broadcast deals like they do in the major leagues.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like, there was already talk even before the pandemic of this push towards cutting a lot of the minor league systems down, trimming them down, how that would impact those local communities. Obviously people around here talk about the Gundy remarks of we need to get back to football because to boost the economy of the state. Well, that for some areas, I think of a place like Des Moines. They have the Cubs minor league system. And that's one of the I I've been up there a couple times during the summer to go visit my wife's side of the family, and that's all you hear in the Des Moines area, and they talk about in the Des Moines area during the summer is minor league baseball. I mean, so you're going to see a lot of communities be impacted by that as well.
Yeah, and I know the Drillers, draw a lot of crowds here and get some good numbers in that area, and lucky for them they have the TCL to at least bring in some revenue to that ballpark and everything, but that's not the case everywhere. I know, for instance, for St. Louis, Springfield's going to feel a brunt of this as well. There's a ton of guys that will be affected by this. I saw too that when they look at the 160 minor league teams, like that's a lot of teams. And as you said, there were some rumors, some talks of already wanting to kind of get rid of some minor league teams anyways, because let's be honest, and this is the truth, you can look it up, a lot of these teams are hemorrhaging money. I mean, they really are. So when that's the case, I don't know about you, but do you think there might be some teams that this might be the end for them? Historically, they've been there for a long time, but we might not see some lower A teams, for instance, again.
That's kind of what I'm assuming, because go back, it's about 2 months ago now, when the minor league, there was reports from Jeff Passan that minor leaguers were basically being cut already. People, they were losing their jobs. I remember reaching out to when that happened to Carson Teal and to Trey Cobb, and they're, they weren't in that group, but they were worried of, what does this mean for me? What's the possibility of a season and stuff like that. So I think ultimately, I think Tom and I have discussed. I think your low A, they have like low A and rookie ball and stuff like that. Maybe they get rid of that and just, your rookie ball just rolls right into single A franchise and stuff like that. I don't know, but I think this is, a lot of these are going to be permanent come next summer. If again, hopefully we can at least get back to some form of structure within the sports organizations, that a lot of these franchises, minor league franchises, will be no more.
And you have the other element of reduced draft.
Yep.
If you believe the stories, next year may only be 10 rounds, maybe 15 at most. So the stocking of each team's system will be less than it's been. So you got less people to have to deal with, and that might be a good excuse to have less teams to spread guys out. As we've said in baseball forever, it's been quality out of quantity. If we have 60 guys and 2 turn out to be somebody who will help us, then we're in good shape. But it appears now we're going in a different direction, and I hate to see it, because just using Tulsa now, because of the Tulsa Collegiate League, some of these people I'm talking about will work 15 nights, okay? But I have a couple of friends who are retired who work on the stadium staff, if you will, over at One Oak when the Drillers are playing. And they do it obviously because they love baseball. One was an ex-coach and one could have been. And they have different jobs, from usher to information, but whatever. But they're around it. It's what they want to be, and they make a little buck here or there. I mean, they're not getting rich off it. But this is a big deal for them now, and it didn't work. And all of a sudden now they're trying to kind of scuffle around and find out what's going on. And
on top of this, I mean, how good is the college baseball returning option looking now? I mean, with everything else, it was definitely one of those that were one of the options that were thrown out there to a lot of guys, and they're going to take advantage of it too in Oklahoma State as well. But when you look at it now, it's like, wow, I could have signed, for instance, out of this draft, but where am I going to go? There's no minor league season. Going to have a shot at some of these guys, for instance, at making this taxi squad. But other than that, this is another incentive for a lot of these guys to realize, well, either made the right decision of going back to college for, this extra eligibility, or I'm going to do that. I mean, I think that if I were in this situation and let's say that you're not a just stud player coming out of college and you were picked later on in the draft, I don't know about you, Jason. I'm going straight back to college.
Well, I mean, we can honestly look at it this year, though. I mean, I don't know if it was agents made it, part of the contract deals or whatever, but most of the guys, we saw it with Caden Polkovich, even though he was a third, fourth rounder, most of the guys who were drafted actually are on that kind of that taxi squad. They've been invited to spring training 2.0. So it makes me wonder, if come next year, do they consider doing that again? Depending on how things are going. But I think from that standpoint, it makes sense to me that someone like Caden, or even if you're a fifth rounder, if you were told, hey, if you sign, we're also going to give you an opportunity to show up for this spring training 2.0 that we're talking about, it made sense to take the money and get the opportunity to essentially work out with major league franchises right off the bat.
Yeah, you're going to get that shot. It's just that in the back of your mind, too, you're just not really sure where you might end up when all of this is said and done. For instance, next year, where
right.
are you going to go? Is there going to be a minor league team for you?
But at the same time, I think it's also we also have to look at it in this sense that in a normal situation, those guys wouldn't have, or even if they wouldn't have signed, they wouldn't got the opportunity to get the pros. Whether it's coaches, the GM, stuff like that, seeing them firsthand. So it's one of those. Yeah, there's a risk of what's going to happen after the spring training, but in a normal spring training setting, if they wouldn't have actually been out there anyway. So I think it maybe it has its pluses and minuses. And ultimately, again, if I think it made sense for me, if you're one of the guys who were drafted in the first 5 rounds, the money's there, take it. Because there's, again, ask Trey Cobb and Carson Teal right now how guaranteed the money is right now in minor league baseball.
Yeah.
So if you think, hey, I can come back another year, the money will still be there next year. You never know.
Let's go to a guy who might give us a little bit more of a perspective here. As Tommy D got Bryce Osmond to come on with us, and Bryce, you were the talk of the game yesterday. Obviously, first before we ask you about that though, with this situation with minor league players, basically their season is not happening this year. How tough do you think that is for those guys?
For those guys, for sure. I'm sure that sucks. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's an unprecedented time, an unprecedented situation. I mean, nobody prepares for something like this to happen.
Hey, Bryce, let's return to last night, okay?
Yeah.
You and I were talking before we went on the air, and I caught a couple of innings, and you looked about like you did in your last start here at Oklahoma State. Did you feel as good as you looked out there?
Yeah, I felt really good. Honestly, it's tough coming out, out of nowhere, just getting ready for the summer, but I'm glad we got everything pulled together, and yeah, honestly, everything kind of felt like I didn't miss a beat.
Oklahoma State fans certainly were happy to see that. As you went to the mound, I mean, what did you do, during this lull? How did you stay in shape? Did you throw? What did you do?
It was tough. I did a lot of trespassing on the high school track to go play catch, and then besides that, my dad got like a little squat rack, so I was able to work out in my garage and just some little stuff like that for the most part. But it's nice to kind of resume somewhat of a normality.
Being a Jenks guy, you're certainly aware of the Tulsa Drillers from a distance, and that's basically a hometown start for you. I assume as many friends and family that could get in through social distancing were there last night for you.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I had a good little following here, and it was awesome to see everybody out at the park. So I was really excited about that.
Now, how strange! I asked Holiday this earlier today, and because he's seen a lot of season openers in his life on this planet, but this had to be about as strange a season opener as you could find. Not many fans, people with masks, but I assume once the ball got thrown, I mean, it was just like any other game, right?
Oh, absolutely.
When you got out there, any special preparation for you one way or the other, or were you pretty much locked in most of 2 hours before first pitch?
It was weird because there was a whole lot of hanging out in the clubhouse. We had, team lunch at 3, so I was here from 3 to 6 was when I started warming up. So I gave myself an hour to, get everything going, but I was trying to get locked in for probably an hour before that.
When did TH tell you were going to start?
I want to say that first day we reported to practice, it was kind of hey, how's your arm feel? And I said, well, it feels pretty good. I've been playing catch, been throwing some bullpens. And he said, okay, good, because you're going to start the season opener. And I was like, oh, all right, well, sounds good to me.
Did you know you were just going to go the 3 innings, and were you on a kind of?
No, that took a little longer for him to explain. But once that was understood, it was smooth sailing.
How many pitches did you throw last night?
47.
Which is a heck of a number. You could live with that for sure in any game.
Yeah, no, I'll work with that.
What did you have? Obviously in this league now, second time around, you will. But I mean, did you have a quote unquote scouting report on any of these guys that you faced?
I would say the only scouting we had was just, guys that have played with everybody. You know what I mean? At this point, everybody's kind of seeing different guys around the country. So when you get into a summer league like this, somebody's got a little bit of intel on different guys. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're working with.
You are one of the guys going to get an extra year, and that's great. Now, how long you stay, and, if you keep pitching the way you are, then that'll probably take care of itself down the line. But at the same time, you get a restart here. And you picked it up, the last 2 starts, would you say, here last year, that you kind of got yourself grounded a little bit?
I definitely started to get comfortable the last 2 that I had. I thought we were all starting to kind of get into a little better groove, and then it all just kind of hit. But it was getting better, and then I was really glad that I could come out and compete like I did.
What was working for you last night against these guys? Obviously, pretty much everything you threw was a strike, and you didn't waste any time getting outs. But in your mind, what was the go-to for you last night?
Honestly, I was pretty comfortable with everything while I was up there. I mean, everything felt pretty good warming up and in the pen, and once I got out there, I was kind of ready to throw whatever we thought we needed to throw.
Who'd you work with? I didn't see the box score. Who was the catcher last night?
Hickey.
Okay, and of course Max is still around too. Hewitt is as well.
Yeah,
I think you got 3 catches. I think Tettleton was telling me you got 3 catches. But
that's right.
So you got the first one under your belt. It was a nail biter, I guess. They came back and made it close. I guess Huey had a base hit as well. So the Oklahoma State was well represented last night in the box score. But that first one's in the books now. Now you get the second go around. It'll be interesting tonight to see how everybody reacts.
For sure. No, I think we're going to come out with the same energy that we had last night. Hope for another driller win.
How much did you know about some of your, quote, teammates before you came into this thing? I mean, obviously, outside the Oklahoma State guys, you knew them. But how many of the people on the roster had you come across before?
We didn't even have a roster out when everybody reported, so it was kind of a meet and greet right when we got here. So besides the Oklahoma State guys, I really didn't know many other players, but we've picked it up pretty quickly. Everybody's becoming very familiar with each other.
Bryce Osmond joining us here on the Afternoon Sports Drive, the Tulsa Drillers Texas Collegiate League team, as well as Oklahoma State. Bryce, would you be cool with college baseball adopted what the TCL is doing and in 3 innings get you a win?
I would take that, yeah.
Hey, I don't know. Now, you're not the kind of guy who's going to want to come out after 3 innings. Now,
no, but if that's all I'm going, I'll take my 3 and we'll walk away with dub if that's how that's going to work.
Because I can't imagine you're ever too happy when Walton makes that old man walk out to the mound and he's going to say, give me the ball. Now, you're not one of those guys going to hand it to him too quickly.
I haven't had one of the handovers yet, but I've had some tough talks down in the dugout.
Yeah, join the club. We've had one story after another over the years of pitchers. I don't know if you know Trey Cobb, but Trey can fill you in on some of that stuff, some of the do-better talks that Robbie's given. As you look around now, I mean, college baseball's over. This is all that's going on right now for the locals. This would have been good summer league kind of stuff, right? So the competition's going to be good. You should be sharp when you get back here for fall.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is a great opportunity to come out and kind of refine themselves a little bit and compete for a little while and then get back to school and keep working,
What about the safety factor? I mean, you guys are trying to do as much as you can, keep that virus away so nobody comes down with it. I guess that would be the worst thing that could happen in a lot of areas, and it certainly wouldn't be good for the league this year.
Yeah, that's the last thing any of us want. We kind of understand that we're going to have to stay to ourselves and, keep our circles small, or else we're not going to be able to avoid this.
Hey, Bryce, are you guys being like tested multiple times, or like what's the deal with all that?
We got tested 2 days ago, and honestly, I don't know the schedule. I don't know how any of that's going to work, but we haven't been talking to people outside the clubhouse for the most part.
I know you're getting ready to go chow down here, so we don't want to keep you from that. But at the same time, how much interaction can you have? Or is there social distancing from one table to another from start to finish, from the time you hit the stadium until the time you leave?
Well, lucky for us, it's 3 o'clock lunch. Nobody else is really here, so we've kind of got the restaurant to ourselves for the most part. And we spread out. We're staying safe. Everybody's washing their hands, so we're doing our part. You
got a little running going on after you eat tonight, or are you going to take it easy today?
I hope I'm not running polls after we eat, because I'm about to stuff my face.
You know what? You'll know it, and they may not tell you until you get out there.
Oh, they're probably just waiting to see how much I eat.
Hey, that's the nastiness of the coaches. I've been there before. Yep. All right, buddy. I know you want to get on there, and I appreciate it. Congratulations on a great start for you and your teammates. This is good. We got it back. We got baseball back, a little bit of something we can talk about, and what a great outing for you. We look forward to your next one.
Appreciate it.
All right, Bryce. Thank you, bud. That's Bryce Osmond, who, let me tell you, I think I told Patrick before, he looked to me a little bit like he did his last start. I mean, he was really getting that thing together. He can dominate from the mound, and what an honor that TH would let him be the starter in the first game. Although I liked his story about, well, he told me, how's your arm? Good, because you're going to pitch.
Good, you're up, so get ready.
If it's good, get out there. But appreciate catching him. We caught him on the fly today.
Yeah, that was great. We'll come back and we'll stick with baseball here in a little bit. Oklahoma State basketball added a new name. We'll talk about that next.
It's been a too long time with no peace of mind. I'm ready for the times to get better. I've got to tell you, I've been racking my brain, hoping to find a way out. I've had enough of this continual rain.
Welcome back. Afternoon Sports Drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. 1020 AM, 1580 AM, 105.1, 93.1 FM, and the Triple Play Sports Radio app. Hope everybody has that by now, because you can listen to us anywhere at any time. Sure you don't miss your favorite afternoon drive show here on the Afternoon Sports Drive. Patrick Wheeler, Jason Elmquist, Tom Dorado with you on Wednesday. Oklahoma State basketball continues to add. They lost a couple of big men. And as soon as that happened, with Yor and Hitty getting out of here, there was a giant gap. What are we going to do? This is going to be obviously a pretty small team. We're going to be running a lot. We're going to play small ball, that type of thing. Then they hop in the other night. We get actually on, Monday night, and you get the announcement that Bernard Kuma is now coming to Oklahoma State. He decided to go to South Plains Community College, but he was drafted. He was signed by Illinois out of high school. But went the JUCO route, 6'10", 240. You got a body now.
Well, you got something to work with. I would caution. I don't think he's going to come in and put Caleb Boone on the bench.
Right.
I wouldn't go that far.
You got another one.
But you got somebody who can provide a little bit of competition and pushing and shoving in practice every day, physicality. And perhaps as the season gets going, not knowing how he's going to develop, you'll have somebody you can put him in from time to time if, in fact, you trust him that much. I mean, I haven't seen enough of him to tell you one way or the other whether he's going to be a contributor right off the bat. His numbers in junior college would say no. I did see some video of him, and he takes up a lot of space for sure. But I don't know skill level whether he's at this level yet. That's not to cut him short, but at the same time, I don't know how much actual game depth he'll provide. And keep in mind, even though we can put on different combinations on the floor, Caleb is going to have to mix it up on both ends of the floor a little bit more this year without Ure. And when you're mixing it up, you're always liable to pick up a touch here and a touch there. And Oklahoma State really could not afford to have Caleb Boone go to the bench with 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game. So I don't think as we speak today, this new guy is good enough to go in there and provide us day-to-day depth. How he develops, I don't know. I'll let you know as he goes along. But it's somebody at least that they can add as a big man they can work against.
Let's be honest, Tom. Most OSU fans right now aren't thinking about necessarily, what is he going to project out? They're excited about the fact that he originally was supposed to be a Brad Underwood guy. That's what they're most excited about. That's true.
How about the irony of that, right?
Right?
Yeah,
right?
The irony.
Yeah.
That we took one away from old Brad Underwood.
Yeah, exactly.
Brad probably, I don't know. I don't know what, I don't want to speak for Brad. I don't know what his feeling is about, okay. so he didn't qualify and he went to junior college. So I'm just telling you, other than that, Jason, I don't know exactly. If we were playing today, I would say he wouldn't be much of a contributor.
Right. That's why I said right now, OSU fans are more excited about that aspect of this signing, I think, than the on-court aspect of it. But and for those who might be wondering, I did read up on it when he first announced earlier this week. It was a case where some of the classes that he took in high school, the NCAA did not accept or whatever. That's why he ultimately, because I believe he actually technically had signed with Illinois, but the NCAA process basically did not approve him once he got there. So that's why he went to JUCO last year.
Yeah. Right. If anything, you're getting possibility at some minutes at a thin position all of a sudden. I mean, he's going to have a chance to, try to be some sort of a rim protector, if anything. So that's important right now. Let's go to the phone lines during the.
But he's not. It's not a 1-for-1 trade for this guy.
No. It's going to take. Yeah, it's going to take some time for him. Like you said, he's going to have to compete to get a spot. Let's go to the afternoon. The phone lines during the afternoon sports drive. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Doing well, thanks.
Rhino, how have you
Ryan,
been?
how in the world have you been, buddy?
Doing all right. It's been so long since I talked to you. I had to make sure COVID-19 hadn't got you yet.
Well, it hadn't yet. I mean, if it has, I don't know. So don't tell me, okay? I don't know if it has. I figured you waited for the fellas in Norman to report before you would call. I figured you were just kind of quarantining yourself and waited for the fellas to join Lincoln Riley, and then you'd start calling again.
Yeah, they're starting out today, so I figured that give about a week or 10 days, you'll probably have about 15 positive.
Yeah, probably so. And I'm not so sure. I hate getting into the medical conversation because I don't know anything about anything. But it seems to me if a player at any school was destined to have this COVID-19, it'd probably be good to get it right off the bat and be tested and say you were positive, go into your 14-day quarantine, and then be ready to go in 14 days. Now, that's pretty simple the way you're looking at it, I guess. But
yeah, because the later you get it, you get it around July 10th, and you're talking the end of July. So you're
and who knows? And who knows if we're going to have, I don't know about the season. I don't know what it's going to look like. I do know everybody has to have it for sure. I don't care what level you're on. You have to play it. You have to play the season. You got to have whatever revenue you can get out of it. But who knows what it's going to look like? But I don't think coaches and players have to approach it that way. They have to approach it like nothing's wrong, and we're going to practice, and we're going to get ready for that first game whenever it is.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as the Major League Baseball, Tom, the bad thing is we won't get the Cardinals and Mets even when we get baseball.
And that's a shame. I mean, it's pretty good for the Cardinals because, Pete Alonso owned you, and you would have a hard time beating them. But when you got 60 games, man, every team is under the fire. I mean, you cannot. And there's one or two teams, right? You guys are baseball guys. One or two teams in a regular year, 162 games, that comes out of the chute and goes 2-14.
Oh yeah,
to start the year, right?
Yeah.
You go 2-14 to start a 60-game schedule.
You're done.
You might as well kiss your playoff hopes goodbye.
Yeah, I think the teams in the NL Central have an advantage because you look at the AL Central, it's weak.
Yeah, that's probably true. I would agree with you there.
You got teams like Kansas City, Detroit, Chicago.
And how strong is the NL Central? I mean, to be honest with you.
Well, the NL Central is going to be wide open. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it's not very strong.
It's right. It's been wide open for a number of years now.
Like anybody can win it. Well, what you're really saying is not everybody's any good, but the one is better than the other guys that particular year is going to win it. I'm just glad that they haven't added 47 more teams to the playoff situation like they wanted to. Then we could have a kind of a YMCA approach. Everybody plays and everybody goes to McDonald's and gets a Happy Meal.
Hey Tom, why don't we just put a runner on third with nobody out?
You know,
I mean, what a joke.
You just want to push every button that you can right now. You know how I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna say, Ryan. So I don't know. I mean, what's the problem? If you're only playing 60 games, are you guys not in shape enough? You're not young enough to play 1 or 2, 12, 13, 14 inning games? What's the problem there? They don't want to use pitchers. I understand that. They don't want to bring one pitcher after another, and have no arms, and they're playing 60 games. I know the big crying towel. I know that's out. But at the same time, to start, we're going to start somebody at second base, butt him over to third, and hope that somebody gets a sacrifice fly, or guy boots it, or you get a ground ball to the opposite side of the infield. You score the run. I mean, is that what we're looking for? I guess. I mean, obviously, it's what they're looking for because that's the rule.
That's what it is in softball.
I know, but this is not softball.
No, it is not.
I mean,
but Tom, it'd be one thing if like the 15th inning you start that, but not in the 10th inning. Give me a break.
Especially, if the other team doesn't score at the top of the inning, and you're going to put your winning run at second base to start at the bottom of the inning. I mean, what are the odds? They're doing it because they want to score, right? But there's no assurance that both teams won't score in each inning, right? With a man at second. I mean, the odds are pretty good that if you start a guy at second base, you can get him to third any which way. You can butt him over, you can get him, hit the other side, whatever, long fly ball, sac fly. You can get somebody to third, and with less than 2 outs, you're probably going to score. No,
it's insanely ridiculous. I mean,
so how will that shorten a game?
You're playing 60 games, and this is a really unprecedented situation, as we've said. In my opinion, strap it up and get ready. And if you have to play 16 and 17 inning game, so what? What's the big deal?
Well, they don't want to throw all those pitchers. We got to
use a position player. You can still do that.
Got to use our pitchers up, and blah blah blah. But to me, either play the season, and you don't tinker around with it and make it something it's not. And don't be bringing this up now because I know you will. But the first uniform that shows up with advertising on it, then I'll probably go ballistic on that.
Well, Tom, I remember a Cardinal Mets game years ago. We went like 20 innings.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And I watched every inning of it. So.
Well, can you imagine it? Yeah. See that.
I think the Mets won, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's why I remember it because the Mets did win it. I would have said I don't recall that one if the Mets hadn't won. But yeah, I watched it too. But so we start somebody at second base, but that doesn't assure that both teams won't score with that situation. The guy at the top of the inning and the guy at the bottom of the inning. So now you're in the 11th inning and you're still tied.
Yep. I agree.
Ryan, see, you got me all hacked off. Oh, you just couldn't wait to do that, could you?
No, I couldn't wait.
I know you couldn't. But it's great to hear from you. You doing okay with all this virus stuff and everything?
Yeah, doing okay.
Good. Well, you need to keep us posted on what's going down there in Lincoln Riley's neighborhood. Okay, give us the scoop on Oklahoma when we can get it. All right.
Okay, don't buy what Lincoln Riley's saying. Spencer Rattler will be the starting quarterback.
Oh.
We heard the same thing with Kyler Murray. Okay, he does it every year. Oh, Spencer Rattler will be the starting quarterback.
All right, we're going to hold you to
I'm
that.
going to hold you to that. I got you. Thanks, Ryan.
Hey, man, thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's he of course he is. He's going to be a starting quarterback. I mean, come on.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have a competition, right?
Oh, yeah. Competition's already over.
We haven't figured it out yet. You know, everybody's... But he's not unlike... I mean, tell me a college coach... I don't know. Maybe Iowa State has been that way with Purdy, perhaps. I'm just coming up. Maybe Brewer was the guy at Baylor, you know, where there was no question. But most coaches are going to say, because they don't want to destroy the incentive in that quarterback room. If you name your quarterback today,
oh yeah.
Then what about all these guys in Oklahoma State as well? You know, yeah, Spencer Sanders is a guy, but you know, hey, these guys, he's here. He's going to compete now. He may have a shot.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, Jason, what's your stance on the runner at second base in extra innings?
I will say it's been, probably 10, 15 years. We actually saw that in college softball, international softball rule. I liked it. But it adds an element. It's to me, it's almost kind of like when hockey does a shootout rather than continue to go on. It just creates a little bit more excitement in a game that you never know if it's going to end up going 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, I mean I can see that, but I don't know. I feel like baseball is the one sport I don't want to mess with.
I'll say this: if they take the approach like hockey, where you do it for the regular season, but come playoffs you don't put a person there on second, then I think what's the harm of at least trying it out?
Yeah. Well, in this situation, that's why they're going to back it up with that. When we come back, hey, it's Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Did you know that, Tommy D?
Let me tell you something.
Tom knows far too well. Tom's helping pay for it.
Don't go off on Bobby Bonilla yet. We got to wait and do it next segment.
Cameron sent. I'm going to leave you at this. Ryan Cameron sent me a screenshot, and that's all I'm going to say, just to aggravate me today. Just to aggravate me, and I'll explain later.
Okay, that's next on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
I don't wanna wait for our lives to be over. You have it, but you take it how you left it. This is give and take. Take your time, take me under. I wanna know, but you show me what.
It's the Afternoon Sports Drive here, wrapping it up hour number 1 on the Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Jason Elmquist, Tom Dorado, and it's Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. So I'm learning now that this is a holiday too for you, Tom. You really
it's a great holiday. Knowing that $1 million goes to him for the next whatever it is till
2035.
And
wow.
Yeah, and as I said, every year, my good friend Ryan Cameron reminds me how stupid this was. Obviously, the Mets got nothing close to what they were paying him as far as production, and now we look forward to pictures of him laying on a bed with money on it. But anyway, that's something you just have to live with. That was their grand plan. We didn't want to pay a lot.
The main thing I take away from the Bobby Bonilla story is get yourself a good agent and or lawyer to structure you a deal.
Yeah.
Because this was probably the best finesse deal I've ever seen in sports history. For people that don't know what we're talking about, Bobby Bonilla, former Mets player, played with the Orioles as well. When he was with the Mets, he signed that 5-year deal. He played with them for 3.5 years, came back in 1999. It was still owed $5.9 million. The Mets at the time needed to free up some money.
Yeah.
At the time.
Till 2035?
So they thought, why not free up some money, defer his payments at 8% in interest rate, starting in 2011, okay? Up until 2035 is when he will be paid every single July 1st. He gets exactly $1,193,248.20.
When's the last time you picked up a bat? When was the last year he actually had a bat in his hand?
99, right? But it doesn't matter.
And walked into a cage and took a swing.
Ever, I believe, was 2001.
Oh, 2001. Okay, that was the last time he was actually playing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Tom, technically, aren't you paying his salary?
Yes,
Aren't
I
you
am. And
technically a
don't be
shareholder?
bringing that up, please. I mean, See, between you guys, go ahead. I'll take it. I can handle it.
I told Tom over the break that it's just like another famous New York franchise that continues to make mistakes, even to this day, on a grand scale. It's just like the Knicks, and then the Mets kind of like to do the same thing with the way that they continue to fail in different times.
It's called management.
The funny thing is when you said that, I was wondering, are you also going to say the Jets? So
oh my gosh, I could go on and on. I could go on and on. The Jets, who I guess their last worst money decision was overpaying for Le'Veon Bell. So you can go on and on and on.
Well, and the Giants, obviously, with Eli Manning staying longer than he should have. Yeah, I mean, Tom, I thought New York was supposed to be a mecca of intelligence.
It's a mecca of something that we can't mention on the air, but intelligence is not. And for my good friend Ryan Cameron, I know he's listening, so I'm going to tell you, Cameron. Cameron, we are not playing the Dave Clark 5 at any time today on this show. I'm sorry.
Did you describe? I missed it. Did you describe the picture that was sent to you already?
He sent me a picture. I think it was in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
With Bonilla laying on a bed of money, and he looks like he weighs about 500 pounds and could not pick up a bat and play wiffle ball anywhere, much less do anything with a major league. So good decision by the Mets. Good decision.
And the funny thing is, obviously, everyone points out the Mets, but apparently, the story I was reading today, the Orioles are also paying him $500,000 until 2030.
Gosh.
Yeah, $500,000 every year until 2030. So, again, his agent was genius.
That's what I'm saying. That's the moral of this story to me is you get yourself a good agent if you are playing professional sports. I mean, a really good. This guy worked it out, and we have to remember this is going on 20 years being paid this way, okay? And it's not ending until 2035. And I saw a post today that was pretty funny. So he's sitting there looking at everybody getting their stimulus checks and getting a pretty solid stimulus check.
Every July 1st. It was a great stimulus. It would be a big stimulus for us to go to the mailbox and get a check for $1 million. Wow. I mean, that would be good. What'd you do this year, Bobby? Not a whole lot. But,
whatever I wanted.
But you know what?
I was just gonna say we got to remember not only is this part of the idiocy of the Mets, but the reason they did this instead of pay him a lump sum up front is because they were invested in the Murdoch or the
Bernie
Ponzi
Madoff
scheme.
Yeah. They had Bernie Madoff entangled in everything they were doing at that time too.
The Ponzi scheme that he got caught in. But yeah, you're right. So we saved a lot of money and we continue to pay it out. And paying for something that's doing nothing. I don't even know if I think early on he made appearances on the part of the Mets. I mean, like at Kiwanis's and things like that.
Well, he played for Baltimore, New York, Pittsburgh. He did play for St. Louis, too, for a little bit.
Yeah, so you got in on the fun, too.
I think, probably everybody is finding a way to get him some sort of money. But you talk about the life. I mean, he sits there, does whatever he wants, and then, hey, July 1st rolls around, exactly marking halfway through the year, and his year's just beginning at that point. So, yeah, it's a great story. It's really fascinating. I love it every single year it comes around because it's Happy Bobby Bonilla Day, and now that I know that Tom is such a fan, I can't wait for it to happen again.
Well, thanks to you guys and Cameron, especially, who, Cameron can't remember, what's going to happen on Thursday, but he somehow remembers on July 1st every year.
Just think of it this way. You only have to deal with this 15 more times before it's all said and done.
Yeah. I wouldn't be around to see the end of it. My goodness.
No, you want to see this through.
My shares are going down with each year
you want to see this through.
Bobby.
Tom, this may be the true kick. I think the story said that Bobby Bonilla will be being paid by the Mets until he's 72 years old.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness.
Literally the majority of his life.
Bobby, why don't you just be a good guy and say, hey, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll just call it a deal.
This is too good of a story. Yeah. He was getting what he was owed. It's just coming at a different rate and different time.
I love all of you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, from all of us to Tommy D. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Hour number 2 comes up. Tom, we have not said who your guest is going to be for. Where are they now? 4:30.
Well, he'll make me feel better. Daniel Bobick, who played for Eddie Sutton here in the 2004-2005 season, was a member of the 2004 Final Four team. Daniel's dad played for Eddie back in Creighton back in the day. And for those who need I don't know, Jason, were you around when Bobick was here or not?
No. When would he have played?
He played. Actually, he came here from BYU, had a red shirt 2003, 2004. Then he was eligible 2004, 2005.
Tom, I truly appreciate it, but I was still in college then.
Okay, well, he probably hit a three against Kansas, I would imagine, somewhere, because he was a big 3-point shooter. So you don't remember those threes?
Who hasn't made big 3-pointers against Kansas?
Well, that's
just ask Northern Iowa in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, how bad you are!
We will.
How bad you are!
Or Bradley or Bucknell.
Oh,
yeah.
Kick them while they're down. That's it. Go ahead. But yeah, we're gonna have Bobbick on at 4:30 on Where Are They Now, and we're gonna reminisce a bit about Eddie and his experiences here. For those fans who don't remember Daniel as much, now I'm really stretching here. His wife Natalie and her sister became almost rock stars because of they would do a dance, the William Tell Overture, I think, and but they came out with Cool Chicks Wear Orange shirts, and for about 2 or 3 years, I mean that was a hot deal. I mean, and they made some money off that. Bobbick he's a head basketball coach in Phoenix now on a high school level, but he's also a private entrepreneur, and I want to hear this part. He's into an industry that makes socks. Now, how about that?
Wow.
I told Bobbick yesterday you'd be the first interview I've ever done talking about somebody who makes socks. but we're going to talk about Eddie and reminisce and look back to those days.
Speaking of making money off of advertising, were you the one who geared or led Eddie to do those Farm Fresh commercials?
Oh, those were too classic.
No, but I will tell you this. He was a mess. I'm just telling you. Actually, Hamilton started it. Farm Fresh, and Eddie just continued it on. Hamilton used to do those, and he was a hoot when he was doing those. But Eddie had that one, and I think it was Charlie's Chicken, and his final tagline was "Dunk it, Charlie," and he would do that. I mean, I told Jimmy when we did our story, Eddie always thought of himself as he as an actor too. He could act. Now, he got involved in the Stillwater Community Playhouse or whatever theater here one time, and I think he had one line like, "Hey, how's everybody?" Whatever. He had one line, but he envisioned himself as a Broadway guy, and so when he did those commercials, he just let it all hang out. I mean, yeah.
But was he ever in a movie like Travis Ford was?
I don't think he was ever in a movie. No. If he was, he never told me.
It's still buried out there somewhere. Okay.
I mean, maybe Scott remembers a movie other than a home movie at home with his kids and his grandkids. I think you saw the extent of his movie business when they were on the beach and that family shot they had,
which was gold, by the way. That was amazing to end that. Well, we're going to go to our break.
Little Spencer running around now. He's Spencer as a coach.
That was awesome. Also, Tom, real quick, I don't know why we never saw footage of you in the hot tub with Eddie. Did that just not make air?
We never did that hot tub thing.
Okay.
I think we probably would have had a discussion on that. Although it was his show, I guess we could have done it, I suppose. But he had some classic shows before he got here, and his things. I think it was when he was at Arkansas. He and Abe Lemons did one that was classic. I don't want to get into it, but it was classic when they had it on. But I told you guys before, he was so creative. I mean, it wasn't like, and I'm not casting any stones here, but I've done coaches shows with coaches who, if we're gonna tape at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, you had to call them and say, "Hey, you would take." Oh, all right, I'll be right there. And they had, okay, let's do it and be done with it. Eddie looked forward to his shows so much that he choreographed most of them.
Yeah,
and that's why they were so good.
They were fantastic. When we come back for hour number 2 to start off, what exactly can Major League Baseball players do with this upcoming season?
Nothing.
We'll discuss that next on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
Levitating off the blacktop. Used to struggle getting started, now I can't stop. Used to be the quiet kid in the sandbox, now it's hands up.
Welcome back, hour number 2 of the afternoon sports drive. We hope that you're somewhere where it's nice and cool listening to us here, because it is ridiculously hot outside. Is when they move the vehicles, and that's about. Oh, I'm good for the day, really. Honestly, we go back out, and it is insanely hot, ridiculous. So much so that we've had the warnings all over the station today. Hey, check it. Turn off your electricity at this point. Make sure everything's good, and don't waste your money by doing this. But make sure you pay attention to all that, because it is real. Major League Baseball. All right, they're officially back, right? They're coming back today. Players returning. We know they've been dealing with getting some positive tests going on here with some of these players, and also we've had a few players that have opted out of playing in the season. I think it's 3 or 4 now that have said that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what exactly can Major League Baseball players do this year regarding the new rules that are in place? That was 100 pages long. Okay, 100 pages. And they are very detailed. Okay, you can't spit, you can't chew gum, you can't chew sunflower seeds, no tobacco or anything like that. Obviously, you can't. No brawls are allowed. You cannot fight. I don't even know why we watch Major League Baseball if there's not a chance for a brawl. So that can't happen, because we know that fluid flies in those situations.
Can you argue with an umpire?
I think, but it has to be. You can't get in the face, I guess. I don't know how you would.
How could you argue with an umpire?
I don't know. It's not the same.
Go? 6 feet away?
6 feet away, and you're yelling at him.
No.
That's one of the best parts.
And I guarantee you, stuff flies.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Well, yeah. And again, that's one of the more entertaining parts. I know they've been trying to kind of eliminate that from baseball.
And it's a long list of things.
I didn't see that on the points that were made from everything that you can and can't do. I would assume, though, that they would be discouraged to get too close to one.
Discouraged.
Just like everything is discouraged. That's my thing, is I don't really know. And we even talked to what was it, Donnie, I think, about it.
Yeah.
That said, like, he didn't really understand how it was going to necessarily be policed, and I don't know how much it will be taken serious either by players. I mean, they can say, well, we're going to take it serious, but everyone knows how baseball players, what they do, how they act. Everything is routine. Mm-hmm. You get up and you're taught to do the exact same thing before you go and get in the batter's box, before you wind up, before you get ready in fielder's position. You spit, you toss your gum, you toss your seeds, you're ready to go every single time. Like, that's the stuff I don't know. I'm just going to sit there and have umpires like, can't do that. I see a guy in the dugout over there, he's chewing gum, he's fined $500 or something like that.
Well, we had, he will go nameless, but, when the NCAA, and I don't know how long this has been, Jason, you might know more than I do about it, but it's been a number of years where the NCAA outlawed, if you will, tobacco. You couldn't have any kind of tobacco in your mouth. And we had a coach here who didn't think that was going to be enforced and policed. And to some extent, throughout the regular season, it was like, hey, coach, get rid of that, okay? Because it was under the threat of being thrown out if you had it. Well, we went to a regional down in Florida, I believe, University of Florida, and this one individual still put the tobacco in his mouth. But we had a different set of umpires. They were from all over the country. About the third inning, here comes the plate umpire, looking at him. Said, "You're gone." He said, "What? You're gone because you're chewing tobacco."
Wow.
No warning, no nothing. Now, I don't think that you could get away with that in a major league. I mean, like, I see you chewing gum, you're done. No, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe this year they try to make a point of it. They're like, we're taking this extremely seriously, and by doing that, it means I see homeboy over here at third base chewing gum. He's gone. I really don't. They had to be really particular about it, but I don't really expect it to be, just watched for like a hawk. Like, this can't happen. This can't happen. Some of the other interesting things: universal designated hitter I mean, I've already expressed my joy for that. It's a long time coming. It should happen, in my opinion.
Should be a long time more coming, but
yeah,
okay.
you don't agree with it. I forget what Jason. Are you a fan or no of the universal DH?
I'm indifferent.
No, you have to pick a side.
That's why I'm a registered independent. No, I can see both sides. To me, I like. Again, kind of like with Tom, the old school. To me, you truly see how good your managers are with the whole having to double switch. Whether it's time to, do you risk pulling a pitcher who's doing really well just to get an extra bat in the lineup? I think to me the strategy part is more interesting without having the DH, instead of just throwing another guy up there who may or may not be of a quality hitter, but you think he is because he's technically the designated hitter.
I'm right there with you. I like the strategy part, but then I'm the guy who thinks they shouldn't have included the 3-point shot, and I'm serious about that. What kind of a coach? How kind of genius do you have to be to draw up a play, 2 passes, get it to the wing, and let the guy shoot from 3?
Well, you don't have to.
That's not much of
Tom's still upset that they also invented the forward pass in football.
Well, I don't really care. Only if you use it judiciously.
Just when it's 3rd and long.
Yeah.
Or you can outfox them and it's 2nd and 1 and still throw it. I mean, that's okay. But throwing it 50 times a game, I'm not into that. No.
Well, especially because half the time they're dropped, and that just extends the game to a 4-hour show instead of the old option games that got done in an hour and a half.
Well, here's the thing with designated hitters: they want more offense in the game. I mean, that's obvious. And the reason I'm such a fan of it is because, so what that you get a player, a hitter up there that's got a chance to bunt or do something more strategic. But at the same time, how many times have we seen pitchers get up in situations with runners in scoring position, and it's a strikeout or a pop-up or whatever? It gives a better chance for these guys to score more runs, which I think most people are in favor of. It's more entertaining. They want to do that as well. And then on top of it, it's creating more jobs.
And that's why it makes sense. Again, that's why I'm on both sides of the fence of this, because if you look at it now with the way pitchers are specialized, just like we hate the fact that so many athletes, when they're in, middle school and high school, are suddenly specialized athletes instead of focusing on multiple sports. They're focusing on only one. That's kind of what pitchers have evolved into, where they don't spend any time on even bunting. I remember Carson Teal, when we talked to him, he said they don't even start working on that in the minor leagues as pitchers until I think he said AA. So I mean, I get it from that aspect of, if you go back 20 years ago, most of these pitchers, obviously you had a guy like Hamilton who could actually hit home runs every once in a while as a pitcher, but even like guys like Rick Maddox could lay down a bunt. You don't see that anymore. Pitchers just go up there and take 3 pitches and then walk back to the dugout.
But you don't see many regular position players anymore able to lay down a bunt.
No.
Also true.
Bunting is boring. Get rid of bunting. Outlaw that if you're going to outlaw something.
Well, you better get used to it when they put a man at second to start the inning.
Yeah, and another reason why I'm really bummed that's happening.
While we're at it, let's also get rid of the free throw shooting in basketball. That's boring.
Well, but that's
60
earned.
a game. Yeah, that's boring. No question about that. Yeah.
Okay, well, in today's, when everything's a foul. Yeah.
When you look at somebody the wrong way, it's a foul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that has something to do with it. There's going to be people that they'll live and die on their hills about designated hitters being a part. But I do believe, and we've heard it from people in Major League Baseball, say just get ready because that is the future.
I'm sure it is.
So it's going to come. This may ultimately, depending on how it goes, it may actually get a lot closer than we thought. It's going to be interesting this season. It's not going to be the same in a lot of ways. We know that. But at least today is the official date the players are returning, and we're getting very close to at least getting back. I still think it's one of the biggest crimes ever committed that we're having no Major League Baseball on July 4th or during this weekend. It is insane. At least we have the basketball tournament to kind of tide us over. But baseball owns July. The 1 month that it just dominates is July. We usually have the All-Star break, and it's summer, it's baseball. But, man, this was an awful overall experience that went on between owners and players getting back. Derek Jeter said so yesterday, said that he believes it was just embarrassing for the sport. Isn't that the best way to put it?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a huge embarrassment.
Especially the way they played the game last month. And we got a deal, nobody have a deal.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
I don't really like it.
Yeah.
I think Osmond kind of gave us a pretty good indication, though, of what we're going to see on a major league level when he said, yeah, it was strange, but once that first pitch was thrown, we're into it. Mm-hmm. Everybody's locked into the game.
And that's the thing. Fans will be too, I think.
Yeah.
But
it's all this build-up around
Yeah, exactly.
it.
Yeah. There is a scar, though, that's going to be left on top of it all, too. We're going to take a break early here so we can get ready for Where Are They Now at 4:30. When we come back, oh, man, this is not great news for Jason and I. One Chiefs star is talking about not playing until he
Patrick
gets paid.
Mahomes is not going to play.
Yeah. Don't. It's not that bad, but it's bad. We'll talk about that next. Back to the afternoon
I'm proud of you.
drive.
I'm proud. That's good stuff right there.
That is good stuff.
Steely Dan.
I found it, by the way. I did some digging and
How'd you find the list is in there? All you gotta do is look like 2 feet to your right, and there's the list.
okay, so I looked 2 feet to my right.
Okay,
and I found it.
Okay. Don't make it sound like you went on a big search.
Oh, it was yeah, it took days, but I wanted to play it because it's Bobby Bonilla Day, and I wanted to give you a little sense of happiness.
He's reeling in the money. Is what he didn't reeling in the years. He's reeling in the money.
That's right. That's his song. Hopefully, Chris Jones will reel in the money, as he says on Twitter yesterday. Hey, he's just not going to play. He's just not going to play if he doesn't get paid. Chris Jones and the Chiefs have been in contract negotiations for a while now. Brett Veach immediately said after the season that signing Chris Jones for the Kansas City Chiefs was a priority. Well, it obviously hasn't worked out yet. He wants $20 million. Jason, 3 other defensive linemen in the league get paid $20 million or more a year, and one of them is on the Chiefs team, and Frank Clark. So, does he deserve $20 million a season?
Yes. Yes. I mean, let's be honest. He's since 2018, basically the past 2 years, he is in the top 6 of basically disruptive defensive linemen in the Big 12 or in the NFL. So in my mind, he deserves the money. I just don't know if the Chiefs can structure any type of deal to where they can pay him until 2050 to maybe get him signed onto this. But and that's the funny thing is I see so many people complaining about he should want to play here. They're going to win championships. He has a championship.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I mean, we always instantly think that people should only be wanting to win championships. Some people, especially if you grew up in whether it was a low income area or just a impoverished area, this is an opportunity to literally change the future, not just for you, not just for your kids, but your entire lineage of family. By this opportunity. So no, I don't fault him in wanting what he deserves. And I'm saying that again as a Chiefs fan. I would love to have him on the field. I just don't know. I mean, when you have the number 1 quarterback that you're going to have to pay, you got the number 1 tight end, a top 5 wide receiver, a top 5 defensive lineman on the other end. At a certain point, you have to understand. I mean, just look at the Patriots. I mean, they never necessarily kept re-signing these big contracts because they did so well in drafting and stuff like that, and that's what the Chiefs might have to do is going forward.
That's unfortunately maybe the route they end up taking. I mean, a lot of people when they see defensive linemen go, oh, they're replaceable. But Chris Jones is a unique talent, and I think he's in a pretty unique situation because Patrick Mahomes is going to get money like we've never seen, ever. So with that being the case, we've already had to structure a couple of deals in Kansas City. Sammy Watkins and Frank Clark, his contract was structured too, so they could make room for what this is going to become. So yeah, you're not going to be able to pay everybody. He would make what, $16 million, I think, on the franchise tender right now. So if that were the case, he's losing out on possibly $4 million extra a year. Some people are going to be like, big whoop, take it. I think that it's, like I said, in a unique situation because at one point there is probably some of him that wants to stay a Kansas City Chief and play with Patrick Mahomes because you never might, probably not get that opportunity ever again with a quarterback like that, or it'd be very rare if you did. So on one hand, he wants to do that, but on the other, he knows his talent and his worth. I mean, he saved the Super Bowl, let's be honest, last year. He really did. At the same time, so he's probably saying, you know what, got my ring. I love the Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes. But if this team over here is going to offer me $21 million a year, I'm going to go play.
Oh, and let's keep in mind, because a lot of people were kind of bringing up Le'Veon Bell and how he actually didn't get the money that he was wanting after sitting out a year, because that's what Jones has said, that he would consider sitting out. There's a difference. Running backs are expendable.
Yes.
A top 5 defensive lineman is not.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that we got to understand. And there's so many
Could they
people
not just cut like 3 guys off the squad that are non-essential and make that kind of money up?
But that would make that type of money up. I don't know, because you also have to keep in mind that some contracts are structured to where they go against your cap even if you do cut them.
Okay.
So that's why, again, Sammy Watkins, they tried to they restructured stuff with him and stuff like that, try to save money. But I think ultimately, I don't see a way in which the Chiefs actually resign him. I mean, they would have to get because of the fact that we're all under the assumption that Patrick Mahomes is going to get the money that he deserves, the $40 million a year type of contract that have been floated out there. If he gets that, it's just impossible for them to try to sign Chris Jones as well.
Yeah, it really is, unfortunately. At $20 million a year, it just is.
Well, maybe Patrick will be benevolent and say, we appreciate getting the ball back, so I won't sign for as much, or you can restructure my money and give me a Bobby Bonilla deal, and then
and that's the interesting thing as well, because I don't know what to expect with Patrick Mahomes, because again, he deserved that money, but also he grew up where his dad was a major league guy. So maybe his dad's saying, hey, you know what, the money's great, but because I don't think his dad ever won a World Series.
No, I don't think so.
No. That passion, that drive to win might outweigh if he talks to his dad enough, because that's the thing. We also have that Patrick Mahomes is going to start realizing as well from his agents, and maybe that's where the Chiefs maybe get quote unquote a break when it comes to the contract. He's going to make a lot of money in sponsorships.
Oh, and
a lot of money.
He already is, and he'll make a lot of money when his career is over too. But and that's the thing. But I just don't see. I don't know if it was like a happy, go lucky fairy tale world. Maybe Patrick Mahomes goes, let's go lower here and make room for other players. I just don't see that happening. I wish it would, because I think Patrick Mahomes may be that type of guy. But if he did do something like that, that solidifies him as the greatest of all time already, right? And willing to take a cut to get another player on the team. But I don't know. I'm like you, Jason. I don't really see a huge guarantee that we're going to sign Chris Jones as much as I would love to. Now, if they slap the franchise tender on him, does that really mean that he doesn't play, though? Because he goes on Twitter and says, probably not. I just won't play. I don't buy that, though. Do you?
I do.
Okay, I really don't.
Because no one even tagged him. Like he searched out that information, people talking about. And,
he did.
And so I think it's legit. I don't think he's just trying to pull. Because here's the other thing we got to keep in mind. We don't know if there's going to be a season. We're not 100% certain right now if there will actually be a season. So you can kind of shoot your mouth off if you want and say, well, I'm not going to play, because there's also the possibility that you may not have to play anyway because there's no season.
Yeah, I think that puts Kansas City in a tough spot. I mean, it really does. They don't want to have to deal with this situation right now, but unfortunately, it's on the doorstep. But we'll see if there is a season and he ultimately holds out. That's not good for Kansas City's front line. We all know that. When we come,
I will say I would rather them put all their money towards him than re-signing Eric Fisher. I would rather go somewhere else on that. Go to the draft next year, something like that. Let's put money towards Chris Jones instead of Eric Fisher.
Yeah, I think he's worth it. I mean, almost 25 sacks in the past couple of years. I mean, come on. Yeah, you got to sign him.
Yeah, especially when Eric Fisher's giving up 25 sacks.
Exactly. We just trade off. It's fine.
Yeah.
Jason, thanks as always. Appreciate it. When we come
Talk to you
back,
tomorrow.
all right.